What's going on, y'all? It's Greg. Greg said it. Back on a wonderful hot day, hot Atlanta. I don't know if it's summer yet. If it's not, it's got to be close. We getting there, guys. We getting into the 90s. It's a nice day out. And, man, it's not only getting hot in Atlanta, but it's getting hot in Boulder. Figuratively and literally, I've been hearing they've been have some little heat waves come through there. But also the activity is picking up. We're in the summer sessions. People getting to see some new talent come in. People started to recognize they have some pieces. I think some people getting a little shaky. They starting to identify some new players who come with some production on the defensive side of the ball as well as the offensive side of the ball. Shedeur is not the only guy that's been a top performer returning. What does that add up? What does that mean? Is that a losing team to have multiple producing factors? Or is that an average team? That's what I'm here to talk about. Colorado, the dilemma. Are they going to be a dominating team or are they going to be a bust? Seems to be the conversation for everybody. There's really not much in between. They're either going to be really, really good or they're going to be average to below average. And really that's a bust because anything that Colorado does is highly scrutinized. So, them being what everybody says acceptable, they'll lie. They're going to dog them out for it. Then you're supposed to dominate. Where are your dogs? You really have no choice but to dominate. But that seems to be the two extremes. A losing record, or barely just breaking even, or a team that can rival any team in the Big 12 for the conference title. People kind of on the fence, who's going to give Colorado a hard time? Who's going to be the sleeper? Who's going to be the game that's, the trap game? That's what the conversations are, which is pretty interesting for a losing team because you don't hear that surrounding a losing team. I mean, you're a losing team, everybody's going to beat you. So there's a contradiction there to me. But what I'm seeing is it definitely could go either way, but the likelihood of it being a bust, I just don't see. Now, people are not clear why they want it to be a bust. They're saying it's a bust because the team doesn't have chemistry. They're saying it's a bust because, it's a bunch of new players that's not proven or whatever. And you're hearing people even go so far to say Coach Prime and his staff can't coach. Now, I don't know where that comes from I guess you can hate on him, but even his coaches seem to catch a stray or two because of their connection to him. It's like anybody who plays for him, they really not that good, no matter the fact that hundreds of other scholarships that was offered to them. And then you have the coaches who come from other programs, they were just fine. And now they're just garbage coaches because they're with Colorado now. It's weird how everybody hit Colorado and they lose all credibility. It's very weird. But needless to say, these people just have opinions. What's the reality? What's the fact? It's going to be shown when the season comes. It's going to be shown what Colorado is no longer going to be opinions, yours or mine. But let's be real. When we look at the team, and they said they're just going against each other, it's just well-off edited videos. What are we really seeing here? Now, I'm not the only one looking at this. Everybody claimed to be a football connoisseur expert, knocking everybody else's understanding to make their understanding more superior. But let's be real. Is the defensive line better? Yes or no? You're going to argue, don't stutter. Does it look better? You said they didn't have size. Do they have size? Can you at least say that? The production they bring in, just the very fact that they brought it from the other schools in that combination, is it possible they're going to get more pressure on the quarterback and play the run better? Based off of the facts, the stats of what players have done before and those combinations of players being brought, is it possible they're going to be a lot better compared to last year, since that's what everybody love to do? 2, is the offensive line better? Are they bigger? Are they bringing in quality players who have not only size, but even some production? or at least come from a quality program, quality training. If they wasn't, they wouldn't be at those programs. Can you at least say that? Regardless if they were a starter, and if they were a starter, how do you value that? Do you undervalue it? Do you minimize it? Or do you just simply answer the question? Do they look better as far as production, the type of program they come from, and their size? Can you say they're going to be better? Okay, that would be my next question. Has the receiving core got better? Do they have more depth? Yes or no? They had a couple guys last year that play hurt, and now we trying to figure out who's going to be the first and second starter, and people going to be on the third team. You know, they're going to be out of the 10 deep, 8 deep. That's a good problem, right? Trying to figure out which pieces going to go together, which pieces going to play. So the depth is there. The defensive backs, a lot of people not talking about that because they really don't know much. Even a lot of the fans trying to figure it out. We don't have the depth. We just brought in Hood, who was a top performer at Auburn. He was in that rotation. They say he had one of the best springs. They say he did pretty decent last year in the fall as a freshman. People liked him. Could he add value to that cornerback room where we need? We have McKinney from Oregon State. Everybody was talking about him because he was one of the first to come in. Is he adding value to that room? And we have some guys that can play multiple positions. You know, we have Riley coming in. Yates coming in. They're not talking about him because he come from a smaller program. We got Johnson back there, safety. We got guys came in to add depth to pretty much every room. Last year we had a lot of depth that was injured. People had to play injured. That was already injured, tried to rush back, or got hurt and had to rush back. That's what they dealt with last year. If you know, you know. Just pay attention. Linemen played hurt. Secondary played hurt. Receivers played hurt. And a lot of times it didn't work in their favor. Because you didn't have nobody else. And that happens as the season goes on. So the depth definitely is going to be there. If you're going to play 12, 13 games, try to make a run, conference championship, playoff, you got to have room for these people to heal. And you got to have room where somebody come in behind, the drop-off is not significant. Is it a difference or it's not? That's my projections based off. I don't know what yours are. My projections, my predictions, all of that is based off of comparing what we was able to do with little to the more we have. And the fact that we barely scraped by. Everybody like throw the record. But outside of the 2 games that they lost of the 8, the rest of them was usually within a touchdown. The games were played close with a broken line. A lot of them in the back end was played close with a broken quarterback. Literally, back, knees, ankles, everything. Issues. Offensive line was depleted. We didn't even know Weaver was playing through the injury to the point that he had to pretty much miss the combine and everything that he was invited to because he still was recovering. We heard about some other players. Stoudemire. We heard about other players. Football is a rough sport. Colorado was thin. They built their team off of the last portal. The first portal came in, scraps after Coach Prime came from Celebration Bowl, to a team that was already falling apart. The Louis was taking their spot. They was getting up out of there. By the end of spring, it was gone. You had to build. Nobody want to build a whole team on the second window. Nobody really want to build on the first window. But at least you got time to get some there, some there. He had some transfers, and he had to fill in a lot of gaps. He had to fill in gaps off of partial portal. But he had to fill in the gaps. He had to put hurt people and everything just to fill in the roster. Even they can contribute. And he definitely couldn't say, oh, they're going to be exceptional. So you had depth issues in quality? Yes, because he had to work with what he had. He didn't have a full year to recruit. He was coming from another program. So You threw that in his face because he said we're going to win and win. And they did. They did win. They won more than what they did, and they could have won more without some factors. People, oh, they made bad calls. Yeah, they made bad calls. Everybody do. They made mistakes. Yes, they did. But they also had some other forces, some help for the other teams as well. And I said, I'm going to keep saying it. They didn't have no room for other help to keep them games closer and just a lot closer than what they should have been. And when I say closer, it wasn't necessarily for the benefit of Colorado. When they need to put away some games, or when they try to make some runs, it didn't quite work out. And they won all discipline. So their record doesn't show that. Their record just show they end up losing. But their record don't show they could have pulled easily in 3, maybe even 4 more games. So with that, you got to identify that a much better roster that includes better line play, a roster that includes better pressure on defense, more weapons on offense, young, healthy backfield. Even on the staff, some more experienced guys. They got something to offer. If they could have went 7-5, 8-4 last year, how is that the standard for this year? How is it impossible for them to jump from 4-8 when really they wasn't a true 4-8 team? They didn't get blown away 4-8 games. They only got blown away 2 of those 8. Everything else was close. 1 or 2 plays away. Plays made or plays taken back. You can't sit here and tell me that it's impossible for them to really do something significant like a 10-2 when a less talented, less quality team could have went 8-4, 7-5, 6-6 last year. Yet you got people say with better quality than that, they should go 6-6 this year. And the Pac-12 wasn't no joke. Like I said, 8 out of 12 of them was top 25 at some point. I guess everybody want to raise that status to the Big 12. I don't think the Big 12 has 2 playoff contending teams in it. When I say playoff, like the old playoff, top 4. Oregon barely missed. And it was because of Washington that they missed. And both of their quarterbacks was in the top 4 in the finalists for the Heisman. That's the type of conference that Colorado was in last year. You ain't convinced me that is the type of conference this year. And even if it was, again, they could have went 8-4 in that conference, losing to Oregon. They could have went 7-5 for you to insist. So who are you to say that they should do less than that this year? Or the same, with much better quality. Unless you're going to sit here and tell me that they don't have better quality. And then that means you the one got something to prove at that point, not me. Because the facts and the stats already confirmed that. So take the silly games elsewhere. It's very elementary. The reality is they are better. Yeah, on paper. And it ain't just on paper because they didn't play on paper. They played on the field to get the paper. So the reality is going to translate in some form or fashion because these are pieces that Colorado needed last year. And these are pieces that are going to make a difference this year. And you will see. Don't run the hot. I'm just Greg. Greg said it. Make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe. And I'll talk to y'all soon.